All right. Hello, everyone. This is Simaya Kar. You're now watching IEEE Turkey ET Talk. So today our topic is empowering women in humanitarian technologies. We have very important guests. So we have very important leaders in IEEE, volunteer leaders who are very experienced in humanitarian fields as um, how to say, we're volunteers, but this is actually a very special field that actually here we have important guests who serve some important position leadership roles in the committees of humanitarian activities and IEEE humanitarian activities and IEEE site, which is special interest group into humanitarian technologies. So I would like to just ask every one of you just to introduce yourself. And here we are together with Supavadi, Pia, Niru, Karen, and Maylene. I just want to introduce myself. This is Simaya Kar. I'm a chair of IEEE Women in Engineering Turkey section. And also I have several hats. One of my volunteer position this year is I'm IEEE Site Communication Subcommittee Chair, and working with these amazing women here in this year in those communities. We can continue introducing ourselves. So we can start with Niru.
Yeah, hello everyone. I am Niru Kumar. I am the Region 6 HAC Chair or Humanitarian Activities Coordinator. I'm also the HAC Projects Committee Chair. I was the committee chair for 2019 and the committee chair 2020 as well. So that's me.
And Pia?
Hi, I'm Pia from Argentina. I have been involved in IEEE for many years, but nowadays I have been working in the new ad hoc committee called Project Support and Oversight in Humanitarian Activities Committee. Also, I'm part of the Industry Application Society board and mainly involved in a lot of women engineering activities. So it's great to be surrounded with these amazing ladies. So I'm very happy to be here. Thank you so much for the invitation.
Supavadi?
Hi, thank you, Supavadi Aramvit from Bangkok, Thailand. So on the Humanitarian Activity Committee, I'm in charge as a communication chair of 2019 to 2020. And I'm also on the Educational Activity Board member, Consumer Electronic Board of Governor member. And of course, I have several other hats on New Initiative Committee as well. So I'm glad to join the talk with our fellow colleague today. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Karen?
Hi, everybody. I'm Karen Panetta, and I'm a past chair of WIE, but I'm still the editor-in-chief of the WIE magazine. And I also am on the committee for SITE. So right now we're reviewing lots of proposals for humanitarian efforts in response to COVID-19. Next year, I'm also going to be the awards board chair. So I want to see lots of nominations from you. And I'm also the past president of IEEE HKN, the IEEE Honor Society. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining. Maylene?
Hi, everyone. I'm Maylin Fang, and I'm here in Palo Alto, California. I'm delighted to be part of HAC, and right now I chair the assessment committee. Last year, I was the Standards Association liaison to HAC, and with Karen, I'm actually on the review committee for the COVID-19 proposals. It's very exciting to see the marvelous response to COVID across the world from HAC and site members. So I'm delighted to be here.
Thanks for joining all. And I would like to ask you to introduce, like you already introduced yourself, but tell us a little bit more about your professional career, because you have very important also professional life. I mean, like you have very impressive career in your professional life, and also as well your volunteer life, because volunteer leadership positions are also important for us as IEEE volunteers. So it's like We are very passionate and dedicated to everything we're doing, and you're all IEEE leaders. And so here actually, so you're all serving humanitarian activities committee. So, but and site committee, and you have past experiences. So for those who are not aware about humanitarian activities committee, so site and IEEE site is under humanitarian activities committee, and we're working together. And there are site committees, affinity groups all around. So in the sections and also student branches. So like this is like a global committee of all the organization. And so I would like to ask you a little bit more about your professional life. So and your briefly about your IEEE volunteer story. We can just like continue with Maylene.
Sure. Yeah, I moved here to Silicon Valley 30 years ago, and I was with Intel for 5 years, and then I moved over to Oracle, where I helped to invent the software industry CRM, customer relationship management. And it's really been very eye-opening for me to see something that I helped to invent, and it's now a $35 billion industry in the world. So I just want to make sure that women know that this is the case. We don't always step up and say these things, and I just realized I have to say I'm the godmother of CRM, because otherwise other women don't know that it's possible to do this kind of thing. The other part that I'd like to share with you is that I became the business partner of Douglas Engelbart, who's the inventor of the computer mouse. I saw that he had a vision of how technology could serve humanity, and I really wanted to understand that. He passed away in 2013, and after that, I joined with Vint Cerf, one of the fathers of the internet, and he and I co-founded the People-Centered Internet, which is a not-for-profit that I chair. So I spend most of my time today in volunteer work, and really want to encourage other women to step up, because our voice is really needed. Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much. Karen, we can continue with you.
Sure. So I used to work for a company called Digital Equipment Corporation when I first graduated with a computer engineering degree many years ago. And then I decided to get my master's and my PhD. I did it all part-time. And I wanted to give back by becoming a really good instructor, a teacher. So I did that, and I was the only woman in engineering at the time. I had classes of only men. So I also started a program called Nerd Girls to try to bring more young people into engineering. And we did community service projects. So that's how I got involved in humanitarian efforts. Later on, when I joined IEEE, I didn't even own a passport until I became the IEEE Women in Engineering Chair. So that's one great way to travel the world and make new friends. And when I did that, I got to go to India, and I got to work on some project with autistic children. After seeing our members and our young people engaged, I was hooked. I didn't care whether it made money or not. I had to do it. So I've been using my research skills since then to help all different types of projects. And my first experience with SITE, or the humanitarian group here at IEEE, was that I worked with a nonprofit that had built an orphanage for young girls in Malawi. And I got to work with the president of Malawi, who was the only female president in Africa at the time. And they had a problem that they had no energy. They had no way to power the hospital or the orphanage. So we worked with SITE to get them the solar trailers, and now they use that during droughts to pump water to water their fields, and it was a huge success. So I'm a lifer for humanitarian and IEEE.
Awesome. Thanks for everything you do. Supawati, can we hear more about your professional life and volunteer story?
Okay, so I'm a university professor at Chulalongkorn University, Bangkok, Thailand. And during my few years when I returned from US to teach, actually I talked with my fellow colleague in the Faculty of Arts, and I learned about the deaf people that typically have difficulty to access to the like a general life, and then for the communication. Yeah, so we try to think of, I mean, some project that could help them be more accessible, I mean, to the normal hearing people, that they can communicate. So actually we start to do some small work, but until 5 years later, we did got a big grant from.
Oops, looks like we lost her.
Oh, we lost her. So we'll continue with Supavati, but meanwhile we can continue with Niru.
Sure. So is it just the professional life, or you want my humanitarian work as well?
A little bit of both.
Okay.
Because somehow it's like they're related, but like we inspire from our volunteer work and also in our professional life. So like a little bit both.
Sure. So I mean, I started off with an engineering degree in power systems and was an IT consultant for many years in India, and decided that power systems was my first love. So I came to the US, got my degree, and I went to do research in power systems with one of the Department of Energy labs here in the US, and I was a power systems research engineer. And one of the things about the labs are that they encourage you to do a lot of IEEE work and become members of the IEEE. So that's when I even heard about IEEE and became an IEEE member. And of course, the lab was in this really remote place. So the only fun thing to do there was IEEE. So it was like, okay, let's go do this. And we started our Women in Engineering, little chapter. And back then in Region 6, it was such a bad scenario for women in engineering. I was the only coordinator in the whole region. So the region director made me the region chair. And that was my first real big position in IEEE, not just section position. And I remember going to the first regional meeting and they were announcing GHTC. This was back in 2011, the very first year of GHTC. And I said, oh my God, how cool is that? And I went in, started knocking the doors of Raja and who was the HACC chair every day saying, I want to do this. And he ignored me. He ignored me for 12 emails because he was too busy. And then I was a regional officer and we had a board meeting in Seattle. So they said, oh, all regional officers show up to Seattle. And so I went there and, the we chair, Ramalata, I told her, I want to do more humanitarian work, Ramalata. And she suddenly found Raja and she said, Raja, you need to speak to this girl. And he and I had a chat and he goes, oh my God, you're thinking exactly the way I am. And, so full circle, I'm like so honored to be here because I kept thinking, how beautiful would it be if more women in engineering people came into the humanitarian space? And back then, literally, I remember the email that went out to the IEEE president. We need a woman on the HAHC thing, so can Nehru join? So the president did say, don't bring her on for diversity factor, bring her on because she actually deserves the position. And I really liked his answer. And I was so grateful to be on the HAHC team. For my daily work, I mean, I have worked with one of the biggest renewable energy companies in the world, NextEra. I mean, after my work with the lab, I went and got an MBA from Cornell on impact investing and emerging markets. But then I took a very normal job in renewable energy in NextEra, which was an amazing company, but then decided to move to the Bay Area. And now I work for a fuel cell company as a microgrid product manager. And my focus is on looking at microgrids for hospitals, which has become critical now as hospitals are trying to prepare for the public safety power shutdowns that we have in California and look at how to deal with COVID-19. I'm also on the committee with Malin and Karen on the COVID-19 thing. I've, all my work with the hospitals has distracted me this last month, but everybody has been free. Everybody's watching Netflix and, I did make my banana bread too, but here I am. I do COVID-19 proposals. So how cool is that I don't have to go and, talk about how bored I am. I'm actually giving back to the community in my own little way. So I think I owe IEEE a lot and, especially with my work. So thank you, Simai, for calling me here.
Thank you so much for joining and sharing your story. So we can continue with Supawadi, because you know we were hearing
Yeah, I'm not sure if I was bummed out and in, and then I was bummed out again for the internet, so I don't know what's wrong. Okay, so to continue, I got a grant from a telecommunication regulator, and we have a 2-year project that we implement the video accessibility for the deaf, and they also we build the first like a sign language dictionary database, so the teacher and then the deaf student can use for curriculum. So we have tested with the deaf student in Thailand. And as you all know, the sign language is not the universal language. So mainly, I mean, we need to help them a lot, although they contribute only 2 or 3% of the population. But how to get them involved more to the digital, I mean, society today is very important. So that like inspired me about the work about humanitarian. And then also my university is academia member of the ITU, International Telecommunication Union. And ITU work a lot for ICT for Sustainable Development Goal. And I'm the focal point of the university. So I have involved a lot of projects for ICT, for impact study for Sustainable Development Goal. Yeah, so that is like my background. Then when I joined IEEE, of course, I devote a lot on educational activities. But then when later I applied for humanitarian activity committee and I got appointed. So I'm glad, I mean, to be involved. And I think this year we participate with the Standard Association on the W6. Too bad it is become virtual event, but I think I'm this year I'm also selected as a high level facilitator. So I will join that event and also IEEE workshop on sustainable development as well. So it's like I entered a new area to contribute, I mean, with also Standard Association. Yeah, so that is mainly my passion about humanitarian activity. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Supawadi. Pia?
Yes, so this is so amazing to listen all these stories because I didn't know all of them. And again, you are guys amazing ladies. I'm proud to be here. My story maybe is not so fancy. I studied electronic engineering in Tucumán, which is the smallest province in Argentina. I was the only female student there. So from the beginning, I was noticing the lack of the female part in this kind of careers. After that, I mainly been involved in industry as an industry practitioner, maybe mainly in projects in different kind of industries like food and beverage, and also oil and gas and nuclear and energy. These last three, again, I was the only female in the field because I was working in the field with the machines, and it was very hard, I think. But again, when I started university, I also started with my IEEE volunteering. I have been volunteering for 20 years. That's too much, I think. But that is why IEEE, I think I changed my life, because also gave me this part of the humanity inside engineering. So when I was noticing this lack of females in the engineering field, I have been really involved in women engineering, especially. But because of my industry side, 5 years ago, the president of IES, by that time, the Industry Application Society, he came to Argentina and he invited me to be more involved in IES. And he told me, you belong to the industry, but you also have this very strong volunteer side. So we want you in our team. I really appreciate that opportunity, and I got involved in HACC because of him, also because from the society they sent my nomination to HACC. So in the volunteering part, because of this interest in women engineering, I started a local program called Robot Team, where we teach girls and boys about robotics, electronics, programming, and also some sense of the climate change and then renewables energy, because I used to work also in those fields in sustainability. And it's amazing how the kids are very, they are amazing. They learn a lot, and I think they are the future. So this is why I focus all my volunteering efforts in kids. And I think that's it.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing your stories. And in my story, I work for renewable energy industry, but since as a student member, like as a leader of my student branch and so on, the first couple of years I spent in the student branch and regional student activities level, then but I truly shaped my future, helped me to shape my future. So like to choose my industry, and like and gave me like a how to say, it's like actually not ability, but it's actually it's a luxury to choose to do whatever you like and enjoy whatever you do. So, and that's why probably that's the reason we are still volunteering in the field we like. So as you all are all very active, I've been active in many communities, but committees also women engineering and humanitarian activities are probably is very special to me too. So it's great to match that, and great to be together with you as very inspirational women who also inspired me a lot while working with you. So so that I would like to ask your vision about humanitarian activities. Why, I mean, like, why did you choose to volunteer and be more active in humanitarian activities? Because IEEE is a huge organization. There are a lot of opportunities. So like we're able to choose where we want to be. And so in your story, how did you choose humanitarian activities, and what is your vision about humanitarian activities future and also today? As just you mentioned that during even COVID time, like humanitarian activities even took very immediate actions, and we work on great projects and some initiatives. While just replying this question, I would appreciate if you could also refer some of the initiatives with it during these days, especially the committee that you mentioned, Nuru, Karen, and Maylene. And I'm sure we have more things to share, Pia and Supavadi, because we are just like working in such great initiative together. So IEEE Technical Society has also took immediate actions, but I think humanitarian activities role was very important during the COVID-19. So like we can just talk a little bit more about your vision and what we are doing. So we can start with Nero.
Okay. So I think we've come a long way as HAC. I was there during the days of HAHC, and there was so much confusion about what role can a professional society, engineering society like IEEE play in this space. I have also been an ambassador of Smart Village, and I, always used to wonder why don't we all work together? But that's coming together now. All the humanitarian and philanthropic activities within IEEE are a lot more, working together. That being said, I do think there is a benefit for HAC. We've started measuring the impact of our projects now. That started in 2019. But I feel like we like to do this bottom-up approach where everybody's coming up with proposals and whatever they think. But there is one part where I feel like many proposals, even with the COVID-19 situation or otherwise in the projects committee, I feel like many proposals are very similar. Even their approaches are similar, but they can actually benefit from talking to each other. We don't have to work in silos when we are the world's largest professional society and the second largest nonprofit in the world. So I have always felt that, what we've been talking as communities of practice. So Smart Village is like a community of practice for electricity, but loosely so. They do like to go beyond electricity. So having the communities of practice so people can interact with each other, that I think I would like to see more of that happen, and HAC take the initiative. The second is, we have to remember that the board gave this charge on humanitarian activities when they realized that membership actually wanted this, especially young professionals and women wanted to give back more to the society and thought this was the best avenue for them in IEEE. So when that kind of membership feedback came, I feel like this is such a great way for HAC to look at how can we support new sections and subsections. And we are doing a little bit of that with, the subsection that just came in Baluchistan in Pakistan. So, helping with that. So helping more with the membership, that was the real impetus behind getting so much of HAC work going. And the third, I think, is looking at a top-down approach. I mean, the Gates Foundation, I believe, does it. I'm not very clear on how they do it, but looking at where is the biggest bang for the buck? Now that sounds very corporate, but then what is the biggest issue that we should be tackling? Yes, there should be a bottom-up approach, but can we as HAC give some guidance to our membership in local regions saying this is something that we see you could potentially be tackling? I mean, they may not agree to our vision or our direction or, any suggestion, but those are the key things that I see, that HAC could do a lot more of.
Thank you, Nur, for sharing for your vision. And Karen, would you like to add also like how we respond quickly for the COVID-19 and your vision on IEEE HAC?
Sure. So one of the biggest things that I've noticed is there are a lot of nonprofit organizations trying to help humanity. And one of the common themes that they're all missing is expertise in how to use technology to achieve their missions. So that connection, I think IEEE brings to the table a very unique, population of 400,000 plus members and students to do this. And that's why the partnership is really important with communities. So a lot of the proposals that we look at, we ask, who is your partner and how are you partnering? Because one of the things that we see a lot of times is people will propose a solution that is not conducive with the community. So you might have this great technological solution, but nobody's going to use it because they don't know how to use it, or it's intimidating technology, or it's going to be risky because the materials are easily stolen and worth more if they don't know what to just sell it. You really have to think about that, and I think that that's what the site committee brings. The proposals bring is getting technology people thinking about how the end user feels, how the community feels, how do you get buy-in, and sometimes that's more difficult to achieve than actually implementing or designing the technology. So the vision, I think, is becoming more about building community stakeholder relationships in the future, because we got the technology piece down. I think it's more about building with the communities and getting it there safely and sustainable. How do you maintain it after you might have volunteers on the ground that deploy it, install it, but how do you keep it going long after you leave the area?
Thank you so much. That's very important. And partnership is really important in the humanitarian field of IEEE. And we do have a lot of partnerships. We bring our technology and our expertise and our volunteers, and we do together. So that's why we are the change makers in the field. Very, very important. And Maylene, is there anything you want to add on this?
Yeah, I think that IEEE has so much to bring to the humanitarian space, and particularly as people who are engineers, we know the importance of measurement. And the humanitarian space really lacks solid measurement. The measurements are done by the people who are spending the money, and they're under pressure to show that it may be good result. But what happened for the people in the villages, these people come, they do their thing, and then they go away and the money goes. What is the effect on them? I think we as a bottom-up organization really have a stewardship responsibility to represent the country communities we come from, to measure it from their point of view. Because if the UN wants to do sustainable development, it'll only be sustainable if the local people really benefit from it and have a part in designing and co-creating it. And so I think that IEEE has a very important role in the future of humanitarian activities, not just within IEEE, but for the whole world, to make sure that organizations really hear the local voices and our measures take that into account. So I was pleased to take over the assessment committee from Simay. Simay did a tremendous job in 2019, and I'm building on that so that we can actually have more solid assessment so that our projects within IEEE can be models for sustainable development.
Thank you for sharing, and thank you for your kind words. It's the real impact. We support each other, we continually supporting each other and build together, and throughout the different years and generations, and we keep collaborating. So that's why we're connected. We're a family all around, and we keep working hard on them. Supavati, can we hear your thoughts?
Okay. So actually, what I love about humanitarian activity, because we can give an impact, and one by one, even we contribute on the small one, we can see an impact. And actually, I do agree on the vision of a humanitarian activity, like what Niru say about community of practice, Karen say for the partnership, and Belin in terms of the impact and assessment. So I would like to add up in terms of the communication committee that I was responsible for. So I think it's important that HACC, we have done a lot. We have give out a lot of projects, right? And if we could be able to access it very well, then we can tell a story. So when I come to in charge with the communication, I mean HACC strategy, so I try a lot to push out first the web page, and then this year we try to focus on more of the content development, tell the story, and then we also have to exist in the world stage. For example, the UN, the ITU, we're supposed to be over there. So for that I suggest Holly and Katik, we should attend the BUSIS this year. So Holly going to start with the Standard Association, right? So we know they're already the activity partner for the BUSIS for several years, and I think that could bring HACC in. Yeah, and I'm glad that I like the first step. I think if we are exist in the world stage, because we actually also the world largest organization, and then I mean we could tell the story, we could do a better partnership, because if this some kind of project, it may exist also somewhere, and maybe some donor may be also out there as well. So we need to make ourselves the HAC to be heard outside. So that's what I also planned at best. Because it's difficult to push. Is like something I think really new to the HAC. Yeah, but I think that is important, that what I will is that HAC and the impact on it on the world stage. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Supavati. Pia?
Yes, I just want to add, because we are also focusing a lot in the communities we are trying to serve, but we are also, I think we have to consider our volunteers, because we have a huge community of volunteers that really believe in the advancing technology for the humanity slogan. And I think most of us, we are still volunteering actively because of that, because we believe we can change the world with technology. And for that, in my committee, we have this close approach for the teams, for the volunteers that are really doing the job, the projects on the field. We are trying also to teach them some project management skills and other kind of tools for them to do their projects more productive, or to optimize the results. Because we also need to provide them the value of being part of HPLE. They need also to learn skills that are going to use in their professional life and also in their personal life. So I think this closes the whole cycle. We are providing tools for young engineers, because a lot of them are students and young professionals that are doing their first projects and initiatives with these programs. And I think we are creating also this added value for the volunteers. They are professionals with content. They know about the SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals. I think we are trying also to support them to be better professionals, better people, and together we are trying to create a better world. So we are closing the cycle, and I'm really proud to be a part of that as well.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing. As you all said, we're actually in the field. So it's not actually the volunteer area that we are just like creating new initiatives, and we are just like giving fundings and just leaving the projects as they are. We are also in the field. So we keep contributing. We try to improve the structure. We try to reach out people. It's actually more important for us. So I would like to ask, so it is not actually the field for everyone. What I mean is we're in the field. We just like keep working together with other NGOs, other volunteers. Like it is not just 1 month events or 1 month projects. Some of them takes like years, and we expect projects to continue and be sustainable itself. So it is so much pleasure working in this area, but it's also challenging. That's why we are there. We love it. And so I would like to ask you, what is the most challenging, or you don't have to say just one thing, why this area is challenging and why we're enjoying being in the humanitarian activities field. So like, and what are your takeaways by serving the position in HACC and site, and also we all have experience also in our local communities, so because we keep working together with them in the regions, in the sections. So your challenging experiences and your takeaways. Maybe, of course, yeah.
Because I have been talking about people, so I think the biggest challenge is to work with people.
We're excited to hear you then.
Yeah, it is. And actually, in this pandemia situation, we were somehow forced to work in this virtual world. So we have to work in different time zones. For example, Suparvati mentioned it's very late at night in her country, and we have to get used to work with different languages. We have to get used to working with different cultures. So I think the biggest challenge is to work with people, because also people have different mindsets, have different ideas. And I think we as engineers and technologists, we don't have all the soft skills we need to communicate better, to express our ideas in a better way, to work as a team. We need to focus on that. So for me, I think it was an amazing experience to work with people globally, especially in this committee and also in others. But also I think it's a struggle, because you have to be patient, you have to try to understand, you have to be in other people's shoes to see how is the situation. And also we need to focus not to reinvent the wheel, just to listen to each other to see which is the best solution. For me, that was also the biggest input and the biggest learning, to work how to deal with people.
I agree. That's absolutely right. And we have lots of takeaways, like it's even hard to just mention when I ask, like when I was asking, what is my takeaway? We have so many takeaways from this experience, and lots of challenging experience at the same time. That's why it's I'm very excited to hear all your answers. So is there anyone you want to continue, or can we just continue with Maylene? Maybe?
Yeah, there are many challenges. I spoke about the measurement challenge earlier, but I'd actually like to say I would like to have more women in my assessment committee. and seeing there's all these women in engineering people here on this panel, if you could recommend for me somebody to be on the assessment committee, because I had another woman, but she has to leave, and now I'm the only woman, and as chair, I have to make sure that it's a much more balanced and diverse group. And especially now, I think we are hearing all about racial injustice. It's really made me pay attention to who am I surrounding myself with, who's on the committees with me, and is it diverse, and does it reflect the people that we want to serve? And certainly women, please step up. It may sound risky, but you don't have anything to lose. Just put your hand up. You'll learn a lot. And I am personally committed to advance any woman who works with me. So please come work with me. My challenge is diversity.
I'd like to add to that. If somebody wants to be, I think Maylene said it best. She says, if you don't promote yourself, nobody's going to do it for you. I'm here, and the Women Engineering Magazine is here to promote you. If you tell me you want a story and say, that's the biggest thing is challenges. Women will say, I don't think I have anything to tell. Like when we started out, what did Pia do? She's like, oh, everybody else has got a great career. And it's like, and then you listen to her and you're like, oh my God, she has no idea the impact she's making. So, I encourage all of you watching, if you have a story to tell, and you all do, let us tell it for you. So, and share it with everybody, because that's so important to promoting, the challenges that we have are, yes, we don't like to promote ourselves because we look terrible if we do that. Well, then let us do it for you and help you.
Absolutely. And I like the moment, like when you showed the Humanitarian magazine, everybody was ready to show their logo. Everybody has a
Yeah, so they
Yeah,
have
absolutely.
it not around
Yes.
here, but
Swati, would you like to continue?
yeah, I mean the challenges. Yeah, maybe I talk about like when I have to implement some project with the government in my country. I see the challenges is with the stakeholder, and many times when we try to do something with the local, and maybe we can propose some solution, but later government has to come and take it and like make it sustainable. And many times when the government change or the ministry change, then it just hang there, and so it's difficult to move something forward. So I think in terms of the stakeholder and the policy continuation, because I think UN try to push for like each government will work toward the SDG, and then they have all many of the ICT index and then the SDG index and then so on. Yeah, so really I think if we're gonna implement something that really sustainable, it take more than like volunteer. Then we have to be able to communicate to the related the stakeholder, I mean as well. Okay, so that it can and move forward. So that is like challenges I see in terms of the humanitarian activity and sustainability. Yeah, and when I'm in these committees, it gives me many like, and then otherwise I would meet Niru, I would need Sime, I know you before from even in engineering long time, and Karen Melin is my first time meeting you in through this committee as well. Yeah, so it gives me very good exposure of how we are from actually different field. We can be women in engineering, but we can also contribute for the humanitarian in the very, more than we can imagine for the effect and impact. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much. Pia, can we hear you?
I
We already
started.
you are the first one. And you were so excited to share. That's my bad. Viru?
Yeah, so everybody's hit on things that, are very important, like stakeholders, especially the community that Karen was, talking about earlier, buy-in and government buy-in in case there is government involvement, making sure that, and like Pia was saying, making sure all the human relationships, whether it's with HAC people giving the money or with your section, all that is important. I do want to say this because this is a women panel and a women in engineering thing, is that to all the young women there, and Pia will know where I am exactly coming from when we discussed this, and it was an aha moment for me. I wasn't just the first and only woman in HAHC. I was I wouldn't like to say first, but only woman volunteer in Smart Village. And I still remember that I was going to DC to renew my passport, and suddenly I got this email that Sustainable Energy for All, which is a UN initiative, is going to have a gender equality and electricity thing, meeting. And I had no clue about gender equality issues or women's studies. Like I was like, why do I have to represent? And I told Smart Village people that I'll be in Washington, D.C. because for my passport, should I just go to this meeting? And I remember one person saying, Niru, you're the only woman on this committee. It'll look funny if one of us goes, so just go. But my issue, which I thought was interesting for them to say, but my issue also was, why am I being forced to do this gender equality thing when all I want to be is an engineer? And I have learned through the years that women are essential. Women are completely essential for this humanitarian work. And lots of studies out there, including World Bank studies, that say, gender equality can only be achieved through humanitarian work, or humanitarian work can only be achieved through gender equality. So I see women engineers being a major part of that. The other thing, like I will say, based on all the horror stories everybody can share, I was not just the first woman in HHC, I was also, you've all heard the story, the first person to get kicked out of HHC for speaking my mind. And I wear this badge of honor because finally the board supported what my viewpoint was, and the people who kicked me out got kicked out. And I'm happy to say that, because stand up for what's right. Stand up for what's right. You may be the minority in the room, you may be the only woman in the room, but you don't have to argue for the sake of argument, but stand up for what's right, stand up for what you believe in. And trust me, the cosmos is hearing, and you will be vindicated if that's what you want. I didn't care if I was vindicated. I just wanted the right thing to be done as I believe. And I'm so proud. So we see a lot of women come and talk to us about how their section chairs are challenging them. The only leadership position they get is we sometimes, which is very sad. Lots of money gets exchanged in the humanitarian space, so they become victims of section chairs not wanting them to do much work with this money. Stand up. Do not back off. Stand your ground and get it done. So that I think. Thank you.
Yay! Yeah, we should really stand behind what we believe, and we have to keep work hard. On the things we really believe and we really like, despite the difficulties and challenges. And so actually, the next question I'm going to ask is a little bit related. So I would like to hear your thoughts about empowering women in humanitarian technology. We so far told more about IEEE humanitarian activities, which is pretty much related, but humanitarian technologies is a little bit more general. There are a lot of social entrepreneurship opportunities, even entrepreneurship opportunities, and more things to do. IEEE is giving us an advantage and tool to work on in this field. So, but we, as you all highlight, we need women in this field. So I would like to hear your thoughts how to empower women in the field. Maylene?
I will start. In fact, I'm going to take Karen up on her offer. I've been writing about the digital home. And this is an area that women really have tremendous insight into. But if you look at the ads for digital home today, they look like a man cave. Which means that there's not that many women making decisions about what products happen in the home. Because we know we should do a better job looking after our children, our elders, the deaf people. Technology can do so much to help people flourish. But those products are not highlighted because they're really in the humanitarian space. Most of the work that women do is not compensated. So where's the market? There's no market because you can't even size it. So empowering women, we must speak up because we are biologically programmed to make sure that future generations flourish. And we have to speak up for that. And just because there's no dollar sign on it right now, it doesn't mean that it's not important. So, for example, Internet of Things, for a long time they were trying to get a market. Guess what? The largest category in Internet of Things is assisted living. This is after they tried everything else. And finally, they listened to the women in the room and they realized assisted living is where IoT can make a big difference. So,
yeah,
Karen.
if I may, so Maylene hit on many different points, and I'm going to interview you about that, Maylene. So we'll make sure about that. But one of the big things when I talk about all the years I've been doing outreach to young women, that's the biggest thing is that they do not understand what impact they could have in engineering or what engineering is. They, I'm going to sit and do circuits and solder, and they didn't see the exciting portions of it. And they love helping people. They love social impact. They love community service and the environment. And when we connect that to engineering, you get so many more female volunteers, And I think that that's really essential to getting that message out there because, you know, when I became a professor, I did computer architecture. Now, you know, I'm developing, you know, applications to help elephant conservation and to help autistic children. I would have never in a million years dreamed that just being a computer architect trained with what I was back in school, I could have led to all those different things. So that's the name of the game, is get those messages and examples out there. Get more strong female role models to say, here's what I'm using my skills for. And I think that we will change the world and get more women into these fields.
Absolutely. Pia, can we hear yours?
I have so many thoughts, but just want to say, for example, here in Argentina, before the pandemic also, we were struggling with our financial situation and economics, and we have a lot of young female entrepreneurs that are trying to build their own business. They don't know anything about technology, but nowadays they have to sell their products through social media or digital media. They don't know anything, and you can see there how technology is very important. At least how to use Google Drive or social media or wherever or email. And also is that because I think we need to consider technology as a tool for any people, for any kind of career path. If you are an entrepreneur, if you choose a career totally different from technology, if you are a doctor, if you are an economist, you are going to use technology somehow. And we are not so far from this future where technology is taking the ground. So we need to consider technology as a tool to create solutions. And I think when you see these young entrepreneurs that are trying to feed their children, a lot of them are single moms, and they are trying to be sustainable somehow. And also with the pandemic, it's very difficult. You see how important it is to have at least a basic use of technology. And that is why also I believe we need to start with children to break this stereotype and break this fear to technology. I think we need to start with basics.
We're actually shaping the future, so that's very important. Very important, and we'll keep working on that field. So, and starting from children, just to lead future better. Niru?
So I think that you know, while we are talking about empowering women, we must talk about empowering all genders. I mean, there's more than two genders these days, and so it's important. So you know, like Malin was saying, last year I initially started off with I must just get the best candidates, and I realized I had like literally one or two women who I had taken, and then when I dig deeper into my network, I realized there were so many qualified women, and we needed more as people in the committee. I didn't realize how busy our committee was, so I made a thing to get more women, and I was so glad to have these women on my committee. But this year, I made sure it was diverse among young people and old people. Of all regions. So there is a balance. And so we have like 15 country members participating in the 15 people. But it was very important for me, whether it's, region 9, and Pia can talk more, there are young men too who are very shy, but want to also, come and join. They had the same doubts as some of the women, like, will I be able to serve? I'm only 22. I said, you don't need any qualification except doing the right thing and having a passion for this. So, helping, I think we need to empower all the young and not so young people. The only diversity I couldn't get, and I scratched my head, was older women. Women 55 and above. And that's because I realized any woman 55 and above in IEEE was already in a chair position. So I couldn't ask her to give time here. And so that told me how few women we've had in like generations. And, the few who have come up, we owe them a lot for my generation and the generations after. So that was the only diversity I couldn't fill, because they already were all so busy being presidents and, that I realized that that's the only diversity we actually have very a big problem in IEEE with, but luckily there are more women now. So I think we need to be empowering all kinds of people, because if we just think about women, then we'll forget all the other marginalized or not so represented people. And so that's what I at least did in the projects committee, and hope to do in any committee that I hopefully get to lead in future.
diversity is important for all the levels and all the genders, you know, like we are together changing the future, and so that's important. We are actually one all together. So that's we need to just like keep also these underserved communities in our groups and support each other. We'll get stronger.
Exactly.
So we'll continue with Supavati. I just want to remind all the audience that as next we will address your questions. We already received a few questions that I will show on the screen one by one as next. So I would like to hear from Supavati.
Okay, so I think everyone has addressed a very good point. And then I just realized that in my communication committee, the regional coordinator, we have only 2 women, right? out from the 10 region, we have 2 women. So this time I have the content development committee adding up. And then I end up recruit only 1 male, and then the rest are 5 female. So I think now it's quite balanced. And yeah, I think I would like to give opportunity also like for the younger volunteer as well. And then I know that they are very active in their own country. Yeah. And I give a talk on the leadership, and I got some interesting point about. So they said that the brain of the female, I mean, is already have some part that better than male in terms of the as a communicator, right? Because some part of the brain is bigger. So somehow actually we are natural good, I mean, communicator. And then in the digital disruption that is already coming, I mean, with all the job, everything, then they rate the interpersonal skill like highly as important as the technical skill. So I think we should also mentor, I mean, like the younger female who are afraid to speak out, as I think Melinda has mentioned, who are afraid to speak out. Like we have to be confident. I think the mentorship is very important. So I think if we can set some kind of mentorship in the humanitarian committee to the fellow, I'm not sure like side you have doing it in terms of the mentorship of the younger volunteer, and maybe like we could also focus on women, I mean, as well. Yeah, like groom them up. And then like if we are more experienced, then we can work closely with, I mean, with a group of them. Yeah, so I think the platform of mentorship is very important. And I believe that it have to set officially, not just like, okay, we mentor few people or something. And that would show that how we would like, I mean, them to grow, like we groom them. Yeah, so they can be like a very like a quality and a very good attitude and mindset and confident in themselves. I mean, yeah, that can even make them to contribute more. Yeah, so that is for me.
Thank you so much for sharing, Subodh, and thank you all for inspiring us. I just know Niru need to leave. Thank you for joining, Niru, and everything you just shared already and inspired all the audience.
Oh, thank you so much, and thank you for having me here, Simet. Such a great idea.
Yeah. So we will have the Region 6 regional focus humanitarian activity. Melin, if you could join on Saturday, right? Yeah. We're gonna learn from Region 6. So
we can compare also on the chat. So we will continue after Niru leave, because we have a few more questions.
Yeah, thank you everyone. This was so much fun, and thank you audience.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
And Karen also had to leave because she had an appointment, another meeting. That's the reason. So we will continue with few questions. So we already received 2 questions, unless we receive another one. So this is a reminder for audience. It's your chance and time to ask your questions for us. So can we get the first question? I will actually show on the screen. Okay, perfect. So what are the opinions or impressions of your family or friends regarding the leading roles you occupy with IEEE and Big Hugs from Ecuador, Region 9? Thank you so much. Who wants to continue with the answer?
I can go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, you come first. Yeah.
Yeah. I think my mother doesn't know what it's all about. When I'm trying to explain to her that I'm traveling for so many countries doing volunteering, and also when I'm using most of my time in volunteering, I think she's very proud of that. And also I think because she have been doing that also for when she was young, she was involved in a lot in volunteering and also in social entrepreneur. So I think we have in the blood. So she might understand. Maybe she doesn't understand the technical side of that. And for me, I think my closest circle, my closest friends, and are also part of IEEE. We also consider this is a big family. I think the strongest bonds I have are from IEEE, are IEEE members. I used to have a boyfriend. I'm single now, but he was also a IEEE member, and he's still involved somehow. So for me, IEEE was really a family. Most of the people I really love are part of IEEE. So I don't know what else to say. They may consider I spend too much time in IEEE, but they also understand this is my passion, and also this opened me a lot of opportunities in my professional life, so they understand.
That becomes like way of life afterwards. I mean, we have to balance, of course. That's a lot of commitment, but we're getting used to, because we enjoy and we adopt ourselves and our peers and all family friends. We balance those as well. So we have a lot of support behind from all those loved ones. That's why we keep volunteering, and they know we are doing great jobs. So that's important. We have people understanding us in our life. But of course, we are just like balancing all the work, our relationship with them, and also with all the commitments from IEEE in different years and different roles. It's not easy. That's why we are here. Would you like
So
to add something?
I'll speak up.
Okay.
My mother inspired me. So she helped to found a not-for-profit called Breadline, helping to get money to poor people. And I saw that growing up, and I used to go with her. And then eventually she retired. And then my father said, well, Breadline needs Mummy, but Mummy needs Breadline. So what it offered was something that was continuous through her life. It didn't matter what job she was doing. There was something that she continued to do, and offered her support and friendship, and something that she could build over many decades. And so I think I'm inspired by that. My mother is a big inspiration for me, and my husband thinks I'm crazy, but I am inspired by my mother, so I continue going forward. He's very supportive. People say he's a saint.
Thank you for all those people who supports us in life while volunteering. Supavati?
Yes. Actually, for me, the I like a Thai colleague. When I say I do volunteering, I said I do professional volunteering. Many don't understand what it is. Because actually they think if, for example, I'm a university professor, so there are certain work that we do. But for me, I did include the volunteer because it fill up my passion a bit. But actually, it take time for me to tell them to understand, because at first they don't understand, and I did spend also a lot of time because I do a lot of traveling as well, and I am the most active volunteer from Thailand, and actually the only one who can go to the leadership role in IEEE. So that is, I think, one of my proud fact. Like I'm not afraid to do what I believe, and I have been volunteer for 12 years. I mean, since the section, region, and then now I'm got several position in global. Yeah, so I think in my case, I like it's good that I can inspire so many volunteer It's like when now I have so many webinar, and there are many who come to ask me like, how could you be at this point or something. Actually, it's not that easy, because I used to come across when people do not understand, and then I did travel a lot for the meeting, and it's difficult sometimes. Like, so the only thing that I could do is that I have to keep like the output, the KPI at my university also very high, and then I also manage time for the volunteering, right? So it has to be good for both. I believe for volunteer, one thing is the manage time. You cannot leave one thing, because your main career is your main thing. It would be like that. And if you love to do volunteering, then you have to, yeah, somehow it take time to have a lot of managed skill, and then multitasking. Yeah, so yeah, that's what I have. I mean, go through. But for my family, they always give a lot of support to me. I'm lucky to have the family that give me freedom to do things, and they will support me in any way. Like if they know that I have like a for-time management is my main thing, so they try to clear off some other things so that for me to spend time. I don't have to do, for example, I don't have to do housework or something like that. So I can be in front of the webinar. Now I have several webinar, and my mom just say, I don't feel like you are work from home because I didn't see you. It's similar than when you travel. I didn't see you, and now you keep in front of this, working room and doing webinar, and didn't see me again. Yeah, but anyway, this event is good somehow, like bring me back to work from home, spend more time with the family. Yeah, but I believe yeah, as the conclusion, I think like we do what we believe, but then we need to manage the priority as well, and we have to show them that this priority, that our main job is priority, and then how can IEEE. Actually, I learned a lot of leadership and many things from IEEE that I cannot get from anywhere. Yeah, that is like is like priceless. Yeah, and doing like this, and then to what I believe and my passion. Actually, I'm very happy volunteer. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for sharing. Actually, it's the secret behind being a successful and dedicated volunteer. We all have priorities. We care
Yeah,
also other values, and we try to balance. We learn how to be more multitasking, and of course, it's a lot of work. But then after a while, it becomes like our normal. So and we're just like managing a lot of things at the same time, and then we keep enjoying. And while working hard for other things, we care also our loved ones, and we have a lot of values in life. So yeah, that's very great. And another great reason, we're sharing similar values and vision all around the world. So we have another family. We're connected across the world, and we are such a big family. So that also motivates us to be volunteer and keep working hard while being so busy in other things. So yeah, I mean, all your stories are so inspiring. So, and when we're like, we just organized this ET talk several times in different, just like great volunteers and friends all around, all the times, that it really remind me like how connected we are.
yeah,
Like we're here together, like connecting from different parts of the world. Actually, we are one, and we have very similar stories, and throughout those years that we inspired each other, which is amazing. So that it's good to see again and again, but while talking all these things. Thanks for sharing them. So actually we have one last question. So this is the next question, and so for just last reminder for the audience, if you have any question, please right now write down on the chat. So we will probably wrap up after this question if you don't have anything else to ask. So and next question is about collaboration. So, are there cross-regional country collaborations in humanitarian activities and sites?
Yeah. But I think actually now the way how we for HAC and site now is based on like the group, right, in certain country. But are there any? But it has to develop to be the bigger project, something like smart village or something that cover a bit more area. But I think I think HAC and site could encourage the collaboration between different site group and then also different region. But I understand that, but maybe I think different region, it can be something that we do similar, but we develop technology together, but we apply to different context on the local context. Yeah, I think those initiative, I think is also important for the collaboration. Yeah,
So,
and
for
I recognize the Vaya. So you are in the V Singapore. Yeah.
so
Thank you
actually,
for the question. Yeah.
thank you for asking the question. So, from the HAC, there is no regional limitation. But we actually encourage collaboration in the local community, because although
Mhm.
site and humanitarian activities projects, we have some expectations for the local group to collaborate with other NGOs and authorities and other stakeholders, and strengthen these collaborations in your local community. But of course, like cross-sectional or regional collaborations are encouraged. But the idea behind of especially site communities, just creating an impact in your local society. So like that's important. That's what we care. So it's not just general projects that you do in all around the region. If you have a great project, you can reach out all the communities in your society. That is considerable. But as far as I know, we never. No, I don't want to say never, but we don't limit. But the nature of those projects are local. So you reach out. You're actually your feet on the ground. So you're reaching out the real people there. This is all the expectation from humanitarian activities.
Yes. I have a comment from, for example, there are some good success stories in some countries where we have a lot of learnings where we can apply for different projects or similar projects. I remember we had an amazing project in Ecuador, in Galapagos Island, and this project was replicated somehow in Bolivia, and they want to do also some similar thing in Chile. So we have this kind of collaboration, and we are trying to encourage to get in touch with the project leaders to get the success stories and also the learnings that needs to be improved. And as I said before, we are a huge family, so don't be afraid to approach someone that have done an amazing project, and I want to do the same, but focusing in my local community with the local needs. We are trying to encourage that. Also from the community, we are trying to also to provide the tools to do that, to support them, to mentor them, to guide them, because you don't need to know everything. And we also have a lot of experience with projects where we can replicate and grow bigger. So I think we are there to be in contact. Don't be afraid. I always say that new volunteers that IEEE is this huge family where you can approach high level distinguished lecturers with a lot of technical skills and he's going to talk with you with the coffee and as a one-on-one conversation, and he's going to be able to give you all the experience and all the comments and all the mentoring you need. So we have to take advantage of that opportunities, and we are open to provide these cross-country collaborations. We are.
I wanted to say, looking at the COVID response projects, we see similar projects from all around the world. So I began suggesting that we get learning groups of the projects that were doing the same things so that they could learn from each other. Several projects were about robots, so delivering things or helping transfer things between people to reduce infection. And I felt like we should have collaboration across countries on these similar projects. So I'm actually talking with our HAC staff person, the director, Holly Schneider-Brown, to see how we could have learning communities that could be doing similar projects. I hope that, I think this is a great question. I'm going to tell her there is interest in this, and I think IEEE can take the lead to do these kinds of things.
Absolutely. Well, while we mentioned about Holly, we should actually thank for all those people behind HAC and sites, Holly, Betsy, and Juliana, and the rest of the IEEE staff, and of course the rest of the IEEE HAC and site committee members who are not here, and our leaders in sites, Sampath and Karthik of this year, and all the leaders, like behind this initiative in the past. Thank you all, everything you do, and we just contribute in this field thanks to your support. And we are together because here we were just 6 of us, but there are a lot of great people behind this initiative. We should also appreciate them.
Thank you.
Thank you. So actually, we have no more questions. So this was the end of the question and answer section. And I would like to ask your last words and advices if you have to share, if you want to share something with our volunteers. So we are just shortly closing this live event.
Yes, I'd like to say at this time of COVID, it is a tremendous opportunity for leadership. And I want women engineers, women in IEEE to step up. The door is wide open. At the moment, anyone who has good ideas about how to respond better, how to solve the crisis, everybody's listening. So you have never had an opportunity better in your life to do something. And if I personally can support you, please let me know.
Thank you so much. It's important to know also we have this great support behind from this team and from our community, right?
Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing. Pia, you have words?
I just want to say that IEEE has given me amazing opportunities. I think I have been doing a lot of volunteering at the local level for so many years because I was afraid to use English as a second language. I was afraid to talk in front of people. I was afraid to be judged. I don't know, to not be as much as good as I want to be. But when I started getting these international opportunities at the global level in these board meetings, that I was amazed to be surrounded with amazing people. I realized that there were common people with technical skills and with a huge sense of volunteering, and they are there to help, but to build community, to work together to solve things. So as I mentioned before, I agree with Mei-Ling. We need to step up, not only women, also the young professionals, also the students. We need more diversity, not talking only about gender. We need more diversity about the different regions, the different countries, different languages. Last year IEEE has this new diversity statement where all kind of people are together to work together, because we have this amazing tool, which is technology, to solve things, to give back to the community, to create a better world, and we are part of that. We are change makers, so we need to work together, and we don't need to be afraid. We need to only raise our hand and say we want to be part of that. So my goal is just consider yourself as a change maker and come together to create amazing things.
Thank you, Pia. Supawadi?
Okay, thank you. I mean, this period, I have a chance to give a lot of webinar, and usually I will reflect on my personal experience. So many times I look back the changing point that when I got like scholarship and I have to go to US. I think that how many years ago? So long. maybe almost 30 years ago, right? So actually, at that time, I don't know how I can survive. It's just very difficult, and then my English is like, oh, and then I have to go to stay in US and taking difficult subject, and I used to not pass the proposal exam, and I have to rebuild my confidence, and I have to take many like a course that rebuilding me up. But I do believe that like all the failure, if we pass through, is a good reflection of we do need to continuously to develop ourselves. Yeah, and then that I would like to ask everyone. Of course, through life is always difficult for me to be in this point. And then when I look back, it's like, oh, I have passed this, passed that, many difficult time. And with IEEE, I also it is take another link for me to grow as well, because when I start volunteering, like from section to regional, I don't know anything. I'm so new. How I could manage or something, right? And then when I come up now on the global position, it's also, I mean, another that we still need to keep improve it up. So during this time, I think like I have very good reflection of, and then I would like to say that if I can do it, anyone also can do it. Yeah, and I'm also oblige myself, like I love to be a mentor to, if I can be any useful to anyone who would like to utilize my experience. I think it will be like I will feel very great, I mean, about that. And I believe in terms of the, like, if a HAC we can form together just a small mentorship group, and then yeah, we can mentor, I mean, many HAC. So yeah, I believe that maybe we could do like Sume, like some initiative to do some the humanitarian yeah, volunteer mentorship. Well, we
That's
have,
a good idea. We should just consider this and take this one into the team discussion for the committee, and because like here that we do have a lot of experience in this field, and we should connect people who have experience and who wants to gain experience. That's important. So it's also great that IEEE uses this initiative, just the lead what we believe and initiate new ideas. So we should.
yeah,
And overall, we can do it. We can do it
yeah,
together.
yes,
So Maylene also had to leave. Just want to say hi for everyone. While we were talking, she didn't want to interrupt, and it's just so hard to close this session.
yeah,
But I want to keep talking with you all, and but it was really, really inspiring. It was really educational, and thank you so much for everything you shared during this session. It was great being together with you and connecting together all around the world. Thank you so much for your time, Pia Supawadi, and for
yeah.
everyone.
For all the invitation for us to join the dialogue today. Yeah, we always
Thank you so
learning. Even we are the panelists. I learn. We could always learn from the inside of people and things. Yeah, and with the interesting question as well. Yeah, so
Yes,
I
thank you,
appreciate
Sumaya.
it.
Yeah,
much.
it was very inspiring also for us. Sometimes we don't have time to know each other well, and we
Yes,
only running for
when
meetings, and we are only focusing in the job.
yes,
We
yes. In person, not a lot of time to chit chat actually.
This is a great idea. We should do this more often.
It was a really great opportunity to connect and share and hear our stories, and just was we act as IEEE volunteers. We again managed to take advantage of the hard, challenging times to make it more inspirational in different ways. So that's why we are leading different initiatives across the world. This was one of them, and there are a lot of IEEE sections and affinity groups and organizational units. They're doing great job. Thank you, everyone. Just like being with us in this family, and we will meet in different positions in different years, and we'll keep contributing to our community, and we will be dedicated volunteer, hopefully, and also in the future. And thank you for both and all the speakers for all your time today, and everyone who's watching us. And we had quite a lot of people watched us today. Thank you, everyone. This link, I just want to remind for everyone, this was the ET talk. And so we just started this initiative. We will continue with different sessions, and previous sessions are also available on the channel, on IEEE Turkey Women Engineering YouTube channel. And immediately after the session, this link will also stay on the channel, available to share. Please spread the word, and because it was an amazing session, I'm sure your friends would like to also hear from this amazing, inspiring woman. Thank you so much for everything.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
I'll see you
Thank
again.
you. Thank you, everyone, for watching. This is the end of the session.